Good morning and welcome to Brunel University London's Sustainability, Entrepreneurship and Design MSc online presentation with Q&A. During the next hour, you'll have the opportunity to view a presentation from Dr. Edwin Routledge, who will be talking about the course. At the end of the presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. I now have pleasure in introducing Dr. Edwin Routledge.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about this program, Sustainability, Entrepreneurship and Design today. And there'll be an opportunity for you to ask some questions afterwards, as already indicated. So I intend to cover a number of different aspects. The main program aims, so looking holistically at what we are trying to achieve with this program. I'll give a little bit of detail about the content as well, and also the structure, because it does run in two different modes, both a single one-year standard MSc, but we also have what we call an enhanced MSc, which includes professional development also. I'll talk a little bit about student demographics and backgrounds, because it is quite an interdisciplinary master's program, and so it does attract students from many different parts of the world, as you'll see. And I'll also talk a little bit about the Central Research Laboratory, which is a very unique provision that Brunel has to enable students to go on and launch their own businesses and business ideas. So it's what we call our innovation hub. And I'll finish then on entry requirements and fees, so some of the standard information, but you may already have looked at that, and we can have a question and answer at the end also. So let's start with the program aims. So this particular program really wants to go out and select the world's brightest, most entrepreneurial-minded graduates and equip them with two essential ingredients. One is the mindset and ability to play a key role in building a sustainable world. So that's one that is not only prosperous, but also environmentally stable and socially inclusive. And secondly, we want to give our graduates hands-on experience such that they can become entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers and innovators of the future. So upon graduating, these individuals will become key figures in local, regional, national or global businesses, holistic thinkers and visionary leaders in their communities, corporations, businesses, NGOs, and government agencies. We hope that they will infuse environmental awareness into society and make tangible contributions to the theory and practice of environmental protection, sustainable businesses, and the circular or green economy. So onto the content. This is quite a unique master's program at Brunel, because it does draw upon content from all three colleges. So we've got the College of Health and Life Sciences, the College of Business, Arts and Social Sciences, and the College of Design, Engineering and Physical Sciences. And so if you think about what the aims of the program are, it has to draw upon not only sustainability and life science thinking, but it's trying to blend that with some core aspects of business. For example, if you want to start your own businesses, and obviously the design side as well. So design thinking can include a number of different factors. It can involve designing objects or actual artifacts, but also it can be about services and experiences as well. So design is very broad and integrates quite a lot with business, I would say. And the sustainability aspect and the life sciences aspect is really the glue that brings it all together, because we hope that all students that come onto this program have an appreciation of the fact that many of the activities that we are presently engaged in within society are unsustainable in the way in which they're being conducted presently, and there's a need for a transformation. And so sustainability is the glue really that holds all of these things together. The sustainability that we teach was actually developed through a collaborative link that we have with Blekinge Institute of Technology in Sweden, and they're world leading in sustainability, education and training. So we've brought a lot of the way in which they teach sustainability over to Brunel in order to deliver what we consider to be a world leading program. And the sustainability that we teach is accessible through this particular handbook. There is, which can be accessed on Amazon, but I believe there is now an updated version. So if anyone wants to join the program, I wouldn't purchase this book just now, because there is another textbook being made available, which is an expansion on this. So that would be the core text that we would use. But nevertheless, it shows that that the sustainability that we teach that we've acquired through the Blekinge Institute of Technology is also used by the natural step, and that's how it's applied within society. So, so the academic side, or the development of the framework that we teach, happens within Sweden, within an academic institution, and everything that's learned through this research and development of the sustainability program gets put into practice by an NGO called the Natural Step. And they work with many different corporations globally, including Coca-Cola and General Electric and IKEA and many others. And they've all very successfully implemented this framework in order to not only make a lot of money by running their businesses more efficiently, but also helping the planet as well, and people at the same time. So it's really a triple win. And in terms of the current program content, we have a number of compulsory modules, which are shown on the left-hand side here. So we have sustainability, we have entrepreneurship, business planning, international business ethics, which is sustainability and corporate governance, sustainable design and professional design. Studio, and all of these modules are worth 10 credits each, and even though the teaching blocks are 15 credits, so you actually get assessed for 10 credits in each of these modules, even though they have a value of 15 credits. And the 5 credits that remains from each of these modules are put into what we call an integrated assessment, worth 30 credits. And this is where you have an opportunity to demonstrate program level learning outcomes by having to integrate all of these compulsory modules together in a much larger assessment. And in the last few years, we've had students working on real industrial briefs. So we've had students working for Igloo Birdseye, looking at the future of the frozen meal in terms of single-serve frozen meals. So trying to compete with the refrigeration section in the supermarkets. And the latest one was with the Beckham's group, who make a number of different products, like Dettol and Durex, to name a few. And they were working on an industrial brief for them, which is very interesting and very exciting, and the students get a lot out of that. And then you also have to select 2 optional modules, and these are worth 15 credits each. So we have Biosphere, Clean Technology, Environmental Law. We're not running responses to climate change this time round because an academic staff member has left, unfortunately, so we will not be delivering that one. But we do have international business strategy, logistics and supply chain management, and design innovation features to choose from. And so all this happens in term 1 and 2, and in term 3 we have the dissertation, which is worth 60 credits. And that would complete a standard MSc of 180 credits. I'm afraid the formatting was gone with the change. Okay, so I'll have to talk over this. The program content for 2018 is changing a bit. This Biosphere module here is actually going to be replaced with a module called Planetary Health, and that's going to include aspects of Biosphere, but also responses to climate change together into a single module. So that's the major change in the program content for 2018. which should, I think, work very, very well and complement the program really well. So this is the program structure. So we've just talked over terms 1 and 2. So this is where you have your main talk component, 120 credits, including your integrated assessment, the 6 compulsory modules, and the 2 optional modules that you choose. And then in term 3, which is where we are at the moment, this is where students do their dissertation. And in this case, the dissertation can take a number of different forms, and for this reason I've split them into 3 separate categories, although in reality it's not as simple as that. There can be a blend between any of these 3 separate streams, if you like, but it's just for simplicity to give you an overview. For example, some students might have a business idea around sustainability that they would like to try and implement or explore. This could lead to a business plan. So your dissertation might actually take the form of a business plan or a pre-business plan if it needs a little bit more research and development. Some students might like to do something around more around design and might have a product idea, and this could lead to a product design as part of your dissertation. And we have also a more pure research route as well, which is more typical of a dissertation. And so all of these separate streams are all perfectly fine for your research topic, ending up with either a business plan, product design, or research proposal, or indeed there might be a blend of both. So you might have a product idea that has a business plan around it, for example. So there's a number of different ways, and that's one of the strong points about this program, is that we do offer quite a lot of flexibility to students in terms of how they want to sort of use the program in order to develop move towards their ultimate goal, or whatever that is. So in September you have to hand in your dissertations and they get assessed, and then over the next period of a few months they get marked and they'll go through the examination boards, and at that point you're able to leave with a standard MSc, should you choose that route. But some students also go on to do professional development, and so there's a number of different routes that students can take, but broadly speaking, there's the opportunity to go into a business incubator if you want to try and start your own business. That would obviously depend on having a viable business plan in the first instance, but there is the possibility of trying to get support in launching your business, the business idea. Some students prefer to go into a work placement type scenario, so they'll do an internship or placement to learn more about what it's like to work in different sectors, to try and put into practice a little bit of what they've learned during the MSc. So the idea is that they will then become business leaders, and those that have a strong interest in design might go down the design innovator route. So there's access to workshop space for things like prototype development. And some students also have aspirations of doing a PhD, so there is also a number of opportunities around writing, grant writing, and things like that, which academics are very able to support as well. So if you'd like to get support in writing a grant, or to try and obtain money in order to either do a PhD or just to learn better writing skills to become a professional bid writer, these are also things that we can support. So there's many different professional development routes, and those ultimately get tailored to the needs of the individual student as the program progresses. So I've put this example here of one student He was from Barbados with Carlton Cummings, and he's a nice example of a student that's made full use, I would say, of what the program has to offer. So he did all the compulsory modules and passed them well, and for his optional module, he decided to do clean, not clean teachers, do clean technology, and through doing this clean technology optional module, he started to get some early insights into what would be a dissertation idea. So he was very interested in what was happening to all of these batteries that we have in laptops and other bits of equipment. So these are rechargeable lithium batteries that are basically being disposed of and destroyed. And so he had an idea that we might be able to actually give these batteries a second lease of life, if you like, because they might not be good enough for storing energy to power a laptop anymore, but they may be good for other purposes. So during his dissertation, we gave him access to Brunel's e-waste. So he routed around the bins of Brunel, pulling out all the laptops and batteries, and was testing them for their energy storage capacity. And then he realised that a lot of these batteries would still be very useful for other purposes. So he had a nice dissertation idea. He then did a placement with an NGO where he learnt more about energy futures, if you like, in the transport sector. But at the same time, he entered himself into the Mayor of London's low carbon entrepreneur competition around his idea to start up a business that used all of these batteries, rechargeable batteries that have been disposed of. And he was runner-up, he came second, so he did incredibly well in this competition. And on the back of that, he was offered access to the Central Research Laboratory that Brunel University has a stake in, and has now started his own business called Accelerate. And if you do a web search, you'll find him. And he's doing very well. He's now one of the Forbes 30 under 30. He's obviously got his low carbon entrepreneur finalist, and he's also won the Shell Enterprise Development Awards as well. So this is one example of a student that's had a very clear idea of what he wanted to do, and the program has supported him and enabled him basically to start his own business and in essentially new types of energy futures, if you like. And there are lots of other examples as well of students undertaking different routes, and I'll be happy to describe some of those if you would like later. In terms of student demographics and backgrounds, this map shows where students come from in the program. And as you can see, students come from all over the world, really, and that's not surprising because the sustainability challenge that we face is global. And so, for that reason, we do get students from all over the world. And from the United States, we've had quite a few from Central America and Brazil and Colombia. Obviously many from Ireland and the UK and Europe, including Germany and Belgium, Netherlands, all the way down into places like Saudi Arabia, India, Pakistan, and even Thailand and Malaysia. And this year we've also had a student from Ethiopia around here, and also from Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and we've had our first student from Taiwan as well. So we're trying to extend our reach, but I expect with some of the changes that are happening in China, I hope that this program will also become more attractive to that market, and India as well. We've all basically signed up to the Paris Accord and seem to be wanting to go full out now to try and greener economy. So this will be a good program for students that have that kind of interest. And the students come with very different academic backgrounds, as you'd expect from this type of program. So we have students describe the background in business. You can see lots of subcategories there, from international management all the way down to politics and economics. Quite a lot around design and engineering, and lots of different subsets of that. And we even get some students from liberal arts and science, and quite a few students from fashion as well, because there's obviously big problems around sustainability and the way in which we clothe ourselves. So that's also been quite a big draw to the programme. And then I'll talk briefly about the Central Research Laboratory. And this is a facility that's literally 10 minutes away from Brunel in Hayes, in a site called the Old Final Factory. It's a really interesting site because it's really steeped in history. It's been around for a long, long time. It was formed in the early 1900s, but has a strong heritage around hardware and design. So the first Beatle records and gramophones were made on this particular site, as you can see in the pictures. And during the war, it also played a key role in the production of munitions and things like that. But certainly EMI and the records and the music industry had a very strong presence on this site for a long time, certainly into the 1960s, after which time EMI left and relocated. And at that point, the site was more or less left derelict. But a new developer came in called the Cathedral Group, and with big ambitions, and this whole site has been turned into an innovation centre. And Brunel has a stake in this centre as well through part funding it. So we have a site basically called the Old Record House. That's the Old Vinyl Centre here, and it's an innovation hub for students at Brunel to go in and get support in launching their own business ideas. And it's a wonderful resource. And this is where Carlton is, who I mentioned before. So he's able to get support in marketing, finance, also interactions with other entrepreneurs and business leaders. And it's a fantastic environment for Brunel students to engage. So there's lots of different funding instruments and educational instruments that all Brunel students have access to if they show that they have good promise in becoming future entrepreneurs and business leaders. And so this is a facility that will be open to anyone that joins the programme. And if you can enter through a competition, in which case you don't have to pay any fees for professional development within the CRL. So there is an open competition every year at Brunel, which you can enter into. If you're successful, then you gain access into the Central Research Laboratory and all the support that you would get from being in that particular environment. You still have to pay your own accommodation, obviously, and feed yourself, but everything else is essentially provided. So it's a great opportunity, and something really quite unique. So these are the entry requirements. So a UK first or second class honours degree or equivalent, from an international recognised qualification in a range of different disciplines, a bit like the ones that I showed before, are not uncommon. But if you have a strong interest in sustainability and starting your own business and have a lot of work experience, we'd still definitely be interested in hearing from you as well. So if you have, for example, a third class degree, or you have a qualification that you're not sure quite fits, then the best thing to do would be to contact me in the first instance, and we could have a conversation or a Skype call just to see whether the programme would lend itself well to what you want to do. And in terms of English language requirements, we request an IELTS of 6.5, with a minimum of 6 in all areas. And obviously there's the Brunels, which is the Brunel equivalent, so you are able to come to Brunel before the programme starts in order to basically get English language support and join the programme as well. So a number of different routes that you can take for English language requirements. And these are the fees. So for UK and EU students, £7,300 full time, and for international students, it's 15,400 full-time. Program does not run in a part-time mode, so it has to be done full-time. And if you decide to do the professional development, there's an additional fee of £2,000, irrespective of whether you are UK or EU or an international student. So that's all for now. So I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much for such an interesting presentation. We're now opening it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, our first question has just come through. This student would like to know how many teaching hours are on the course.
Okay, thanks for your question. For a typical MSc, every 15 credits normally comes with anywhere between 24 and 36 hours of face-to-face interaction or face-to-face teaching, but there will still be quite a lot of personal revision time that you have to do as well. So for a typical MSc, it's normally said that there would be 150 hours of work time for every 15 credits. Whether that's practical, I don't know, but that's what's written in the regulations, and we're not allowed to change that. But certainly, you know, you could think about a 12-week term. You may have to do for every module that you take. You may have to do 2 or 3 hours every week, and then there'll be coursework and assignments as well that you have to do in your spare time.
Thank you. Our next question is, do you know how many students have been accepted for the course so far?
Right. If that's for this academic year, it's very hard to tell because you only know when students turn up, really, whether they will. But I think at the moment we're on about 18 or 20 conditional and unconditional firm for the next academic year. This year we have 14 students on the program. The year before we had 18, so it's that kind of number. But yeah, I would think that we might have around 20 this time round, which I think is a manageable number for this particular program, because we do like to treat every student more or less as an individual. So I always tell students that join this program that we're not like a sausage factory. We don't take lots of different students and then you all come out identical at the other end. You know, we do try and develop every student in an individual way so that they get maximum benefit out of the program. And in order to do that, I would say a cohort of around 20 is about right.
Okay, we're getting lots of questions through, so do bear with us. We will try and get to all of your questions if we can. Could you please expand more about the content of the Entrepreneurship module and also what's involved on the Professional Design Studio modules?
So, well, obviously entrepreneurship is going to be something that that comes out in lots of different ways within this program. So there is obviously an entrepreneurship module, which is taught by the business school, and I can tell a little bit about that. But there's also entrepreneurship also comes out in different ways as well. So it can come out, for example, through the professional development and the support that you would get through launching your own business. So that's another route. But there's also lots of opportunities within Brunel, just because of the way in which the program integrates design school to do quite a bit on entrepreneurship as well. So we have lots of interesting programs like Co-Innovate, which is where external organizations come to Brunel and they try and get support in tackling some tricky problems, and they use the students to help them do that. And there can be lots of competitions and awards and prizes involved with that. And we also have the very well-established Made in Brunel as well, which is another way in which entrepreneurship can come out. But the entrepreneurship module itself really has more of an academic focus. So it looks at the nature of entrepreneurship and its importance in society. And in particular, the module examines the person through the analysis and understanding the psychological and behavioural characteristics of entrepreneurs. And this is achieved by examining and reflecting upon the major theories in the field. So these would be psychological and cognitive theories. And it also looks at the process through the review and analysis of the main approaches to entrepreneurship. So it does have quite a strong academic grounding in what entrepreneurship is. But clearly, entrepreneurship is something that also has to come from inside. So, as the case with Carlton, he was obviously a very strong entrepreneur, and there are other examples as well of students that are showing some real entrepreneurial flair, and that's something I think that's often you have as part of you. It's part of your makeup, and the program capitalizes on that. And the other one was Professional Design Studio. So the main aims of this module is to encourage students to form strong, educated opinions about the broader social, environmental, economic and technological role of design in society, and to be able to communicate and argue their opinions confidently. So it's to apply design process skills and related research methods to a specific contemporary or emerging design context and produce design deliverables in response to this context. So that's the main aim of that one.
Brilliant, thanks very much. That certainly gives an in-depth view of those few modules. The next question that's come through is this programme ever likely to be available part-time or via distance learning in the future?
That's a bit of a tricky one. We have no intention at the moment of delivering this part-time, and that's because it is a very complex program to run, because the way in which it integrates content from all across the university and running in different modes as well with the professional development and things like that. So we did look at it at the beginning, but logistically I think it would be very difficult to run this particular program part-time, so we don't have any plans yet of doing that. In terms of distance learning, that's an interesting question. We are starting to make a few explorations into that area, so it's certainly not impossible, but again, that would be something that wouldn't happen immediately. That would be further down the road.
Okay, we've got a question from Kieran, who is a graduate in geology with a 2-1. And Kieran would like to know whether you would accept this, and also Kieran is interested in starting a sustainable building spaces design and consultancy company. Is this something that would be a good fit for the course?
Hi Kieran, yes, I think that's very possible. Like I said before, we're more interested in the person rather than their background, what it is they've done. And I usually find it a good idea to have a conversation with people that have some doubts or come from, let's say, subject areas or disciplines that might seem a little bit distant to the program. So my answer to you would be yes, I would certainly apply. Your personal statement is very important in the application process, because that's where you have an opportunity to really express, your interest in the program and what you want to do with it. And so use the personal statement as a way of getting across your vision and your fit for the program. That would be my recommendation, but certainly I would apply, yes.
Okay, the next question is also about entry requirements. So this person wants to know whether a computer science background with work experience for a year related to renewable energy would be appropriate.
Again, I would say yes. I mean, we do have students that come in with sort of computational backgrounds, and they're interested in how this might be used to facilitate a transition towards a more sustainable society or more sustainable economy. So there's certainly lots of scope, I would say, for people that have good understanding of information systems and data and processes, and things like that, because a lot of the issues around sustainability are about complexity and complex systems, and how we might sort of streamline and make these more user friendly so that people can be helped to conduct their own lives in a more sustainable way. So yes, again, I would say your background sounds perfectly reasonable, and I would definitely encourage you to apply.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Vera, which is very similar to the previous question, so hopefully that's been answered, and that was basically about remote access and distance learning. So Vera, hopefully that's already been answered, but if you want us to expand on that anymore, please pop another question in the question bar. So the next question is, when should I start thinking about the project business placement idea?
You can start thinking about that anytime, really. It's there's no sort of mechanism that says now you have to start thinking about it. Some students have thought about it right from the beginning when they join, what it is they would like to do, but in my experience, many students change their ideas of what they would like to do for the professional development. So I think it's good to have a vision about what you'd like to do at the beginning, but be prepared for the fact that that might change as you go through the process, and you may discover other areas that interest you or excite you more, or you may have other ideas. But what I do sometimes suggest to students is that if they're not certain about the professional development, they can register for a standard MSc, and then in, let's say, term 2, for example, or before the end of term 2, if they feel that they would like to do the professional development, they can change their registration, but obviously there will be a fee involved, and it can be a bit more complicated for international students because your Tier 4 visa has to cover the entire duration of the program, which is for professional development is 21 months, because you have 12 months of the standard MSc. There's 4 months where everything is marked, assessed, and you have to pass the standard MSc to go on to the professional development, and there's also some planning and organisation that has to go into that. So you would start your professional development in January or the following January for 6 months, and if you're an international student and your Tier 4 visa is only for 12 months because you've registered for a standard MSc, then depending on the requirements you may have to, well, you would have to go back to your country, I assume, and extend your visa, and that can incur cost and time as well. So there's quite a bit to think about, certainly if you're an international student, but if you're home, if you're UK or EU, it's actually relatively simple. You can leave that decision for later and see how you feel nearer the time, and then change the registration status. But we have a good student centre who can also advise international students about their visas and everything else, or what the implications would be if they changed their registration status. So there's quite a bit of support there.
Thank you. Okay, the next person is actually interested in about the competition, and would like, that you mentioned earlier in the presentation, and would like to know where they can get some more information about that from.
I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything on the website about the competition.
It might be that we could email that separately. Do we have anything that we could email separately?
I don't think I have anything at the moment. I mean, there's as far as I know, there's nothing that directly competes with what this is offering at the moment, because I think Brunel is in a very unique place to offer this program, having a very strong business school, an internationally renowned design school, and we're world leading in a lot of environmental science as well, particularly around environment and health. So we have a very unique blend of competencies at Brunel, together with excellent links with the Environment Agency and and the Central Research Laboratory and things like that. So we are quite uniquely placed. There are certainly many master's programs that try and blend sustainability and business. And I think what you'll find is that for most of them, they have a very clear emphasis. So they might be about renewable energy or something like that. So, you know, it really depends what you want. I mean, if you're really keen on learning a lot about climate change and renewable energy for sustainability in business, then, you know, this may not be the right program for you. But, you know, but if you have a clear business idea and you want support to develop that, then this may be the course for you. So you have to weigh every program up, really, because they're all very different in what they offer. And like I said, I think the main difference about this course is that we have no great expectations on what students will become. What we want to do is help you get there. That's really what we're offering.
Okay, thanks. So I think, Adriana, hopefully that's pretty much answered your question as well with regards to the uniqueness of the course compared to other similar courses. The next question that's come through is, can we use Brunel's design workshops and get support from lecturers outside of our course, for example, the engineering or the design area?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So can we use Brunel's design workshops? Well, certainly, I mean, you would be using Brunel's design workshops as part of the program. For example, Professional Design Studio is very much workshop based, and if you do professional development, or even if you do a dissertation that requires a design aspect, it's likely that you would be using the workshops as well. So certainly you pay a fee to use Brunel facilities, and that's what you get access to. In terms of support from lecturers outside, well, we do occasionally have guest lecturers come in to Brunel as part of the talk provision, but I'm not too sure what you would mean otherwise. I mean, you will be taught by people from design, so the design modules are taught by doctors and professors that are experts in design, and the business is taught by people that are expert in design as well from business school. So it's all taken care of in-house, and I know there are some modules that do bring in people from outside as well to contribute to the talk component as and when we can and as and when necessary.
Thanks. I think that puts a question about the interdisciplinary nature of the course as well. So, Stefan, if you've got any further questions on that side of things, or you wanted us to expand at all, then just let us know. The next question that's come through is, are there opportunities of taking business internships in Europe?
I don't think anyone's done that yet, but I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work. In fact, it could work very well in some situations, I would expect. I think the main situation is that that if you do the professional development and you want to do it abroad, the main criteria for Brunel would just be to ensure that it is an appropriate work placement opportunity, and that that we are reassured that you would have the support that you need while you're there as well. So that would involve a conversation with the Professional Development Centre, who would also be contacting the potential business internships in Europe. But students often, it is a partnership finding things like placements or internships. It is a partnership between Brunel and also yourself, so you work collaboratively with the Professional Design Centre in order to find the right placement. But in answer to your question, I don't see why not. I think placements in Europe would be fine. It is still a taught part of the program, if you like. So the professional development is worth 60 credits. You do have to hand in a reflective portfolio at the end. So you would still be registered as a student at Brunel for that period of time.
Okay, thank you. And hopefully, Violet, that also answers your question, which was whether you could do the professional development in your home country. So it's a similar question. The next question is about the £2,000 fee. I think the question is what that goes towards. Is that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the £2,000 is for the professional development. So it's to gain access to business incubator space or workshop space or support from Brunel to find a suitable placement, but also because it is an assessed part of the program, there's still academic input that's required and everything else. So that extra 60 credits and all the other support that you get is what that fee is for. And but like I said, if you have a strong business idea and you want to get access to the Central Research Laboratory, you can still do that through open competition. Obviously, we cannot guarantee whether you'd be successful or not, but if you do get access to the CRL and the business incubator space through that route, you wouldn't have to pay a fee.
Okay, thank you. The next question through is, what is the employment in the UK like related to sustainability and renewable sectors for international students? And does the university help with getting employed after the course is finished?
Well, I think the green economy is pretty buoyant at the moment. I think there's a lot of people in society starting businesses because they do realise that there's a great opportunity for sustainable businesses. So there are certainly lots of new startups and NGOs, and many of these are good places to put into practice what you've learned already. And we do have some strong contacts, like I said before, with the Environment Agency and also a place called CEH, which is the Centre for Environment and Hydrology in the UK, and they do a lot of interactions and collaborations with businesses as well, and try and offer their services. So we are developing an expanding portfolio of opportunities, and those are available for international students as well. So there's no issues there really, as long as you're registered for the professional development and you have your Tier 4 visa, then you are entitled to work, and there should be no issues with respect to finding a job as part of the professional development. And I believe the university carries on supporting students after they've graduated to help get a job as well. I think that offer is open for 2 years, I believe, past graduation. So you would still get support for at least a period of 2 years to get a job.
Thank you. The next question is a business plan about a sustainable buildings design and consultancy company something that would be a good fit for the course?
Yes, I think it would be. I have a student at the moment who's doing something like that. She's actually doing a dissertation with a sustainable building company, design company, and looking at their processes and how they might do things better, even more sustainable, using the framework that we teach. So she's running a number of strategic planning workshops with the staff of the company. And so yes, I mean, there are companies out there that are already trying to do this, and obviously finding there are some barriers at times, and I think there's still definitely space within the market for more businesses like this to come out and start pushing the boundaries of architecture and design. Certainly things like BREEAM and LEED are very restrictive, I would say. They're not, they don't really give people much scope for creativity and innovation. It's ticking boxes is not really the way forward. So I think people that are interested in sustainable building, sustainable design, and want to create consultancies, and they want to try and find more leadership roles to push the boundaries of what's possible and what's acceptable, are definitely the right sort of candidates for this course.
Okay, thank you. And well, we've certainly had a lot of interesting questions through. Are there any more questions from anybody? Okay, another question's come through. This person would like to know when the course finishes. Does it finish in September?
Yes, it finishes in September. Students will hand in their dissertation, and that's the final piece of work for the standard MSc. And like I say, that has to then be marked, assessed, and go through all of the examination panels and boards. So students will normally have their degree classification sometime in November, and students on the standard MSc would graduate in the winter graduation in December.
And another question, do we get to learn, what do we get to learn in the professional development?
Well, like I said, the professional development is really an opportunity for you to put into practice what you've learned. So you may not necessarily learn anything new from Brunel, but you will certainly learn a lot about what it's like to work, out in society, in real companies and businesses, in sectors that you're interested in understanding. So students, take different things away, I would say, from the professional development. Many students haven't had a job before, and it can be quite an eye-opener as to what it's like, or what the expectations are of employers, and what it's like working in a company. The level of professionalism that's required, and timekeeping, and how you conduct yourself. These are all sort of things that can often shock students that haven't done work placements before. They're also very good at opening doors, I would say. Students often that have taken professional development, if they do well, often find that they may be offered a job by the same company, and that's certainly happened on a number of occasions. So it's not only about what you learn; it's also, I would say, about developing your skills further, and also a platform for creating new opportunities for yourself around employability. So there's quite a lot of benefits that really come out of doing it. But it is a further commitment, and many students don't do professional development, and instead, after a year, they decide that they're ready to go out and find a job themselves and just get on with things. And there's a reasonable number of students that join the program that already have their own companies. So if you like, they are already CEOs of their own companies in different countries, and they want to learn more about sustainability, and they want to try and implement that back into their own business models in their own companies. So there's lots of different ways in which this works for different people.
Okay, we've got a few more questions that have come through now. The next one is, when does the course start, and when do they have to apply by?
I think when you apply depends on where you come from in the world, because if you're an international student, I would say, the sooner the better. I think time's running out for you now. So you'd probably want to apply before August, I expect, to have a chance of having all the paperwork in place and getting through all of the hurdles that you have to do in order to be accepted on a program in the UK. But if you're a UK student, you can almost apply on the last day, as long as the admissions are quick enough. The turnaround can be very fast. So really, I would say the biggest barrier would be for international students on Tier 4 visa. I would apply as soon as possible, but if not, you've still got a bit of time. And some students do apply quite late, if they're not restricted by a visa, even into August, late August even sometimes.
And the next question is, when does the dissertation process start?
Well, the dissertation process starts really, in theory, at the end of term 2. So, but I would say in the spring, really here, sort of around April, May, is when students really start thinking carefully about what they want to do in their dissertations. So it's not an awful lot of time. You know, you have really about 4 months to work on your dissertation, and probably the biggest challenge is knowing what you're going to do, or deciding what it is you want to do for your dissertation, because we don't give you topics necessarily. We don't. It's not like an undergraduate degree where, you know, you'll be given a list of topics that you can choose from. At master's level, we expect you to be sort of coming up with some of your ideas yourself, and we, as academics, we will help you to shape those ideas and make sure that you know, that you have a clear plan towards completion and success, and that it will meet the learning outcomes of the program and so on. So really, the sooner you start thinking about it, the better. But I would say most people start to develop ideas in term 2, and but not all. Some are still struggling. So we do have a few mechanisms in place to help students to come up with ideas. So we do ask you to pitch your ideas to academic staff at a certain time at the beginning of term 3 and things like that. So we have a number of different ways of motivating you to work on your ideas and get started quickly.
Okay, thank you. The next question is do we get to work closely with companies while doing the course?
Well, with the integrated assessment, you certainly do work with the company. So with the Beckines brief that we had, the company sent 2 or 3 staff to Brunel every other week to talk to the students and have a look at how their ideas were progressing. So there's quite a lot of interaction there. And if you do decide to do other things like get involved in Co-Innovate, which isn't officially part of the program, but it is something that you can do, then again you will have ample opportunity, I would say, to interact with companies. So there is that, and then during, obviously, the professional development is another opportunity for you to get that kind of interaction as well. So there are quite a few different ways in which that can happen. Yes.
And the next question through is, can students work in groups for the dissertation, or do you have to write it alone?
You have to write it alone. It's an individual piece of work.
The next couple of questions, I think we might have to get somebody else to contact you with these. These are for Aravind. So Aravind would like to know about the £2,000 professional development, whether it needs to be paid at the beginning. I don't know whether you know the answer to that. We can get admissions to give you a call about that. And the other question was, how long does it take for the university to respond for international applications usually? I think, as was mentioned before, the issue for international applications is really very much your visa and getting all the paperwork sorted out. So what I can do is I will get an international member of our international team to give you a call or send you an email, and they can go through that with you. Okay, do we have any further questions? Okay, that looks like the end of the questions. Okay, well, thank you very much for attending our Sustainability, Entrepreneurship and Design MSc online presentation and Q&A. I hope you found it interesting and informative, and we hope that we will be seeing you at Brunel in September. Goodbye, and thank you for attending.